Well, our second panel are here today, and now we're ready to talk about how to be winter ready. I think you'll all agree we could do with some practical advice on the subject. We're about to get it from the HSE, the Garda, and from Cork County Fire Services. Our speakers in the segment today are Inspector Ian O'Callaghan from Garda Síochána, Eleanor Moore from the HSE, and Mark Sinclair, the Station Officer at Cork County Fire Services. Well, you're all very welcome indeed.
Thank you.
Ian, if I could ask you, what do you think is the level of anxiety at the moment amongst the older folk?
It's certainly, I suppose, people are worried without question. And I know from where I'm stationed in Bantry, and we cover a massive rural area, from talking to our community guards who are out every day, speaking to people living in isolated and in vulnerable areas, that there's anxiety and worry about, I suppose, the winter coming on. However, since March and April, we have been working with our local stakeholders in the community support programme. We've been doing our best with the local community alert groups as well, and the local GA clubs, for example, around the Bantry Garda district area, and replicated throughout Cork County, in fact, have been doing their utmost to reach out to people and ensure they have the proper supports there. But there is worry.
If we look, just for a minute, you mentioned community alert systems there.
Yes.
And every time we're driving through rural Ireland, which I personally love, you see this community alert sign and you think, oh, that's great. Is it working at the moment?
It is working, and certainly over the last 10 years, the likes of burglary figures and theft incidents have reduced. And again, recent figures for this year have shown that burglary figures in particular are reducing. And certainly in West Cork, we have nearly 80 community alert groups which tie in with local liaison guards, and we meet regularly. And even during the pandemic, we have been doing regular teleconferences with officers in our local community alert groups to try and identify who is vulnerable in the local parishes and to try and ensure that they're not forgotten about, and that we can even do visits ourselves to ensure that they have the right support, such as simple things like, is the pension being collected okay, security supports in relation to crime prevention advice, and even indeed simple things like getting the messages to ensure that somebody is doing the deliveries once a week at least for them.
It's very reassuring, I think, to hear you tell us that the burglary numbers are down.
It is.
It's a big fear for a lot of people living in isolation, and some of them even living alone, and similarly for those who are frail and not very physically strong.
It is, and it's important here today to reassure everybody who's viewing that crime in Cork County has reduced substantially, as I said, over the last 10 years. It's very unusual that a serious crime like an aggravated burglary will happen in your home. In fact, your home is most vulnerable when you're not there. And what we've seen during the COVID pandemic is that a lot of people have been at home and working from home, and I suppose are more susceptible and maybe a little bit of anxiety in going out. So criminals are aware of that. And technology has improved, such as text alert. People have mobile phones now. If they see suspicious activity, they ring Garda stations. We've CCTV in so many communities like Bantry and Scull, for example, where I'm attached to. And that all is playing its part. And people are brilliant for ringing in if they see something suspicious. And people are really excellent for keeping an eye on their vulnerable neighbours, and particularly those who live on their own.
Well, that is lovely to hear, because in many ways, although I'm sure it's global, but I think we Irish are very good at being kind to the neighbour and to looking out for each other.
We are. And certainly this year, I think we've seen the true Irishness exemplified with the way everybody has got behind each other and looked out for their neighbours. Mostly, yes.
A few old rogues out there still. We have to be careful.
There is, but the vast majority overall, it's been very empowering to see it.
It is lovely to see it. Eleanor, on a different subject, but also I feel a very important one. What about the flu vaccine? Apparently, it's going to become available very soon, I think.
Yeah, that's correct. The flu campaign is going to start in the first 2 weeks of October.
And we're in that now.
We're in that now, exactly. So we will be encouraging everybody over the age of 65 to go and get the flu vaccine. It's free. You can go to your GP or pharmacy in order to get the flu vaccine.
Is that the process, Eleanor?
Yeah.
Do I just ring up or go to the local pharmacy and say what? I want an appointment?
So you ring up your GP to make an appointment to go and get the flu vaccine, and with any of the COVID, practicalities at the moment, your GP will talk you through how you will get to the surgery, etc., etc. It's the same with the pharmacy. You can go in and talk to them, and they will talk you through the process in relation to getting the flu vaccine. If you're online, there is an online system to go through with the pharmacies as well. But your first protocol would always be your GP. Talk to your GP about it.
Now,
it's free.
May I ask you about that? I would expect for people who have a medical card, of course it would be free.
Yes.
But what if you don't have a medical card, yet you're in an older age group? Is it still free?
If you have an underlying condition, any kind of underlying health condition, it is free for you. If you're over 65, it's free for you. Whether whether you have your medical card or not, you might have a GP card that you can go and visit your GP with. So it is free. And again, I would talk to your GP in relation to that.
But the message from the HSE is please get it.
Yes, and to reassure everyone, go and get it. It'll protect you from the flu. The flu can really make you ill. So our message to you is go and get it, yeah.
Okay. Mark, what about fire safety? What would be the one singular thing, or is there one singular thing that you would advise us to look out for?
I think the most important thing is smoke alarm. A working smoke alarm in a house is an absolute vital piece of equipment. Unfortunately, statistics would show that it's elderly people living on their own usually, unfortunately, would pass away in a fire because they've nothing to alert them. So a working smoke alarm that is checked weekly and an escape plan out of the house as well.
Now, when you say checked weekly, who does that, or how do we do it?
Okay. A smoke alarm is usually kept up high. You can get the handle of a brush and push it with the handle of a brush, and that will do it for you. We wouldn't want anyone standing up in chairs or anything to check
No,
these.
we don't want that.
But yes, a handle of a brush will check it. Once you push it, it should beep and will let you know it's working. Once it beeps, it's a working smoke alarm.
Now, would I be right in thinking, because this is my own practical experience, nobody follow it, but in the summer when the evenings are bright, we tend to forget about the value and importance of smoke alarms.
We do.
We go to bed and it's still bright. Would that be right?
Weekly. What I call a Tuesday is Test It Tuesday. Tuesday is my day for testing the smoke alarms. So that's what day is today? It's Test It Tuesday. So.
Well, we're not quite bang on the button. So for the moment, we'll do it Test It Thursday because it's Positive Aging Week, and today is a special day, the International Day of Older People. But then we'll do it again next Tuesday. We'll test it on Tuesday as well.
Tuesday or Thursday, whatever day begins with a
T in the week.
And that could be today even.
Well, you know what? That's an even better idea.
Yeah.
Do it now.
Test it now, yeah.
Do it now,
yeah. It is no harm.
Ian, going back to you for a moment, online theft of identity, of bank accounts, scamming, phishing. We hear about it certainly among younger people. Is that a thing with older folk as well?
It is, Bibi, and we have noticed it year on year. That is a type of crime that is indeed increasing. And I'd appeal to everybody, and certainly older persons can be more, I suppose, susceptible to this type of crime because they're more trusting in nature. And I'd appeal to anybody who's viewing today to take stock of anybody who's receiving a cold call. It might be a telephone call, a mobile call, via an email, or indeed somebody calling to their door. A lot of it is down to trying to extract your bank account details. And indeed, a friend of mine recently only got caught out recently through an SMS message who he thought it was from his bank account. And he said there was the bank were proclaiming that there was going to be a transaction going to occur very quickly unless he logged on to his bank account via his mobile phone because he banked online. And when he went into his particular bank account, it looked real. And that's what's so professional about these type of criminals who work this way. And he gave his bank account details, thinking it to be the correct online bank account. So I suppose it's just to take stock if someone is ringing you saying there's a problem or you're even due a refund or a rebate for anything. It's to stop. And the lesson is if they ask for your bank account details, that should be a big red flag.
Never give that.
Never give it out.
I think years ago, the older age group, if the fella called to the door, which was the way of doing it then, you might notice, as we used to say, the cut of him, you know, that he didn't look too real, or he didn't look right. There was something about him, my mother would have described it.
Yes.
With online, of course, all of that is gone.
It's all gone, and it's so professional, and people are full-time at it, and they've honed their skills in relation to how to manipulate and dupe people and lull them into a false sense of security. And it's just to be extremely careful, because certainly, as I said, older persons are more susceptible to this type of crime, and particularly persons who are living on their own, because they mightn't have someone to bounce. Do you know what? I've someone on the phone to me here, and what do you think? So it really is to be very careful. Like, a reputable institution won't go about their business that way.
No, no chance. But you can be taken in.
You can,
There's
and
no
it does
doubt.
happen, yes.
Eleanor, we have to talk about masks as well. And I know you don't have a medical background, but still in all, from the HSE, what is the HSE telling us to do about wearing masks?
You need to wear them, and you need
to wear them.
You need to
Will
wear
I
them
repeat
when you're
that
out.
again?
You do.
You need to wear your mask.
To wear
I'm
your
starting
mask.
to sound like Joe Duffy. Wash your hands, wash your hands. Well, wear your mask, wear your mask.
Wear your mask when you're out in public spaces, and you cannot socially distance 2 meters or 6.5 feet. You really do need to be wearing your mask. You do need to be wearing your mask when you go to the shops to do your groceries, your messages, that kind of thing. You do if you're going into the pharmacy, if you're going into the supermarket, any type of shop, your bank, your post office to collect your pension or anything like that. You do need to be wearing your mask. And I suppose what the other thing is, you do need to be wearing it correctly, so it kind of covers your nose, your mouth, and your chin, and try to put it on with the string. And I know people wear glasses, and people talk about it, it's very uncomfortable and it fogs up. So my suggestion, because I do wear glasses as well, is put the mask on first and put your glasses over it and pinch it in at your nose to make sure that it kind of comes in here, so the condensation isn't rising.
Okay, so we take the glasses off.
That's my trick.
Then we put the mask on.
Put your glasses back on.
Make sure it's nice and snug in around the nose.
Yeah.
And then we put the glasses back on.
Because then your glasses are over your mask.
So no condensation.
Well, hopefully you have to measure your breathing, but yeah, that's my trick to doing it anyway when I'm putting my glasses on with the mask. You have to wear your mask even indoors if you're in an indoor situation and you're meeting people. And again, you can't socially distance that 2 meters or 6.5 feet. You do need to be wearing the mask. I know they're uncomfortable. I know we all get sweaty in under them, but they are saving our lives, and they are a way of us not contracting the virus, which is out in the open air.
It's very sound advice, and it's very necessary.
Yeah.
Mark, just before we leave this segment, what about the practical business of this smoke alarm that I know you consider to be most important? Do you give them for free? Do you test them for free? Do you fit them?
Yes, Cork County Council, we go to a lot of these active age elderly groups, where we give presentations on fire safety. And for anybody that doesn't have a smoke alarm, Cork County Council Fire Service actually provide the smoke alarm. Unfortunately, we don't fit them, but the active groups have volunteers then who, I think Eleanor was saying, are Garda vetted and everything. They go and
that's the care and repair service
that's the care
from
Age
Action. They will, they'll do that.
Yeah.
And would you test it for free?
Yes, well, we work on a retained system, so we don't work full-time on the job.
No.
We work on a pager. But when we're out at a fire, we could be called to a chimney fire or even an ambulance assist to help ambulance paramedics lifting people or whatever. When we're in houses, we always would say, yeah, we'll check the smoke alarm for you, especially if they can't reach it themselves, if they need the handle of a brush to reach it. We were at a chimney fire there a couple of months back now, it would have been before the summer, where it was a big house, and like that we checked the smoke alarms. There was 3 of them in the house, but none of them were working.
None of them?
I actually had smoke alarms in the fire appliance, and we did actually fit them the same night, because we couldn't leave that house with no working smoke alarm.
Well, here we are on the 1st of October, and I've been reading stuff about, apparently there's a thing called Sober for October. Forget that one for now. Do it if you want to. But let's get the smoke alarms in, the masks on, and let's be very careful about who comes to the door and who is online with this. Eleanor, Mark, Ian, thank you very much indeed.
Thank you.